Dinosaurs, big and small. Let's learn about them, one and all. Dinosaurs, they're so great. Let's learn about them and what they ate. Some had claws and some had plates. Some ate plants and some ate steaks. Learn their names, we'll learn their size. We'll learn a lot, it's no surprise. So come along for the ride. We'll have fun, you and I. Hey everybody, it's Jill and Gert here with another episode for you today. Are you ready to learn all about dinosaurs?
Yeah, I totally am. Let's get it going.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited for today. We're going to talk about 12 different dinosaurs. We're going to explore the Jurassic period and the Cretaceous period mostly. So let's go ahead and let's get started.
Yeah!
All right, so first we're going to talk about our friend here, the Brachiosaurus.
Brachiosaurus, wow!
Yeah, the Brachiosaurus was over 40 feet tall and weighed up to 120,000 pounds.
Whoa, that's huge!
Yeah, really big. And you can see they had a very long neck there. And they were herbivores, and they had 52 cone-shaped teeth inside their mouths. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's a lot of teeth.
Yeah, exactly. And something that was kind of cool is that they can live, or they could live to be over 100 years old.
Whoa, that's really old. I don't think I'd want to live that long.
Yeah, I don't know if I would either. But they were hardy, just kind of like, you know, like a turtle, like a modern turtle. They live to be really old too.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and do you know that their name means arm lizard?
Arm lizard?
Yeah, and you can't really tell with this figurine in particular, but in the front, these dinosaurs had sort of longer arms than most dinosaurs of this type, or, you know, that looked like these. They had longer arms than most, so they walked on all fours mostly, but had long arms.
Wow! And Jill, what is that bump on top of their head?
Well, I'm glad that you asked her, because actually that bump on top of their head, that is actually like a bony structure that had nostrils on top of it.
What? Nostrils?
Yeah, that's right. And do you know why they would have nostrils up there all the way on the top of their head?
No, I have no idea.
Well, some scientists believe that maybe it might have helped them to reach tall trees, and there's even other experts that say that they might have been what's called semi-aquatic, which means that they could swim a bit. And so if the water came up to the top of their neck there, they would still be able to breathe on the top of their head.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, I think it's so neat. They were semi-aquatic. They could go into the water, but not too deep, because they weren't like great swimmers. They just were able to go into the water to that point and be able to breathe up there.
Very, very cool. I kind of wish I had nostrils up there.
Well, you have your own nostrils right here on your nose.
That's right.
And I have mine too, so there you go. That's the Brachiosaurus. Let's go on to the next one. Are you ready, Gert?
Yeah!
All right, so next we're going to talk about a dinosaur that seems similar in appearance here to the Brachiosaurus, but do you know what this is called?
I do know of other big dinosaurs like this with long necks. Is this the Brontosaurus?
Absolutely right. Gert, wow, I didn't know you knew so much about dinosaurs.
Well, I'm full of surprises, you know.
Yeah, I guess so. That's right. This is the Brontosaurus. And it was about 15 feet tall or so, and it only weighed about 48,000 pounds, as opposed to the over 100,000 pounds that the Brachiosaurus weighed.
Wow, well that's still pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. And they were pretty long too. They were between like 70 and 90 feet long in length. And the reason for that is because they had to be balanced with their neck and their tail.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. We don't want them falling over.
Yeah, right. They go boop or boop otherwise. So that way they could be nice and balanced.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And the Brontosaurus was an herbivore, which meant that it liked to eat what? Do you know? Do you guys know at home?
Plants.
That's right. Yeah, they like to eat plants. Yeah. And they had short, blunt teeth inside their mouths. And they were classified as a sauropod. And one of the features of a sauropod is having a small head and a long neck. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And because it had a small head, it also probably meant that its brain was pretty small in there too.
Oh, well, that's all right.
Yeah, it was okay. A lot of the dinos back in that time had sort of smaller heads, and smaller brains. Not smaller heads, but smaller brains. So it's, he was in good company there.
Yeah, my brain is huge.
Is it really? I believe that. You are pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm really smart.
Yeah, I think so. These guys too could also live to be over 100 years old or so, like around that. And the same as the modern tortoise, and they like to roam the earth about 150 million years ago.
Whoa! I can't even think of how long ago that was.
It's a very, very long time ago during the Jurassic period. And so just like the Brachiosaurus, the Brontosaurus had nostrils on the top of its head too, maybe for similar reasons as the Brachiosaurus.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right, so that's the Brontosaurus. Let's see who's next. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Next here we have an Allosaurus.
Allosaurus.
That's right, yeah. And they were 10 to 20 feet tall, maybe like 10 on average. So not like super, super big, but still in the grand scheme of things, dinos were just big, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, so big.
Yeah, and they were between 30 and 40 feet long, and they weighed between 4 and 10,000 pounds.
Wow, still pretty big.
Yep. And its skull, in particular, its head here, was about 3 feet long, and it had, you see on here, all those little bony prominences, they're called, like little ridges on their head. And they had them on the top of their head and right by their eyebrows and on the top of their nose there. And its name in Greek means strange reptile.
Strange reptile. Well, I can relate to that. I feel very strange sometimes.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all right to be strange, right?
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm just me, and that's all I can be.
That's right. All you can be is you. So it's a strange reptile because probably the bones on its back were shaped like an hourglass, which was very different from the other dinosaurs. So they called it the strange dino.
Well, like you say, strange is beautiful.
That's right. I think this was a really beautiful dinosaur. And it was a true carnivore. Oh boy, it was maybe one of the greatest of all time right there with the T-Rex. The Allosaurus, they like to snack on Stegosauruses.
Stegosauruses? You want me the one with all those bony plates?
Yeah, how did they do that? Those guys had a suit of armor.
Well, I know. It seems very strange that it would want to eat one of those.
Yeah, but I guess scientists have found Stegosaurus fossils with like bite marks from the Allosaurus.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah, and the scientists too believe that maybe the Allosaurus would prey on even like sick or dying dinosaurs that were much bigger than it.
Wow, that's kind of brave.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're vulnerable like that and sick or dying, then they're a little bit easier prey, aren't they? Yeah. And this dinosaur only lived to be about 25 years old, they say, on average, but possibly because of all the beatings that it took from the Stegosaurus. Because that Stegosaurus, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but on the tip of their tail, on the Stegosaurus, they had something called a thagomizer, which is kind of sharp, and it was probably whipping it around at the Allosaurus.
Wow, that's kind of cool. What a nice defense mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the Allosaurus. Pretty cool. Let's see who's next. All right, Gert. So we were just talking about the Stegosaurus, right?
Yeah, that's right. They were eaten by the Allosauruses.
Yeah, they were attacked at times, but look at this Stegosaurus here. See all the bony plates on its back? It's pretty cool. It was called the roof lizard for that reason, because of all the plates on its back, and there was somewhere between 17 to 22 of those plates on its back.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then we talked about the tail. On the back of the tail, it had this thing called a thagomizer. Can you say that?
Thagomizer!
Very good. Yeah, and I don't know if you can see this at home, but it had some bony prominences on each side of the tail for the thagomizer there, and it would whip that tail around at its predators, And it was a really great defense mechanism, kind of like a suit of armor.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
Yeah. And they're closely related to the Ankylosaurus, which is another dino that we'll talk about soon. They have a suit of armor like this too, but a little bit different. We'll talk about that. It lived over 145 million years ago in the Jurassic period. And also, it was an herbivore too, which we talked about already, meant that it ate plants, right?
Yeah.
And I also was reading, I thought this was interesting, that they would sometimes eat little small rocks and things like that to be able to help digest the food that was in their bellies, because some of the vegetation that they were eating was kind of rough and they needed to break it down, so they would eat some rocks in there too.
Wow, I can't imagine eating rocks. Please don't try that at home.
Yeah, definitely don't eat rocks. Please don't eat rocks. Well, everybody, that's the Stegosaurus. So let's talk about the other dinosaur that's closely related to it. Do you remember what it's called?
Yeah, the Ankylosaurus.
Yeah, let's talk about it. All right, here's the Ankylosaurus, and I hope that you can see this one okay. This one has all kinds of bumps all over its back and all over its face even. They lived over 70 million years ago during the Cretaceous period, so we're moving up here. The Cretaceous period, it weighed about 10,000 pounds and it measured about 30 feet long. And like we said, it had this suit of armor that it wore, and it was like a tank.
Yeah, just like a tank. It could go through and just beat up all the different dinos that were coming around to it.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be walking along, and if anybody ever tried to mess with it, it would just either swing that tail or just kind of crouch down, maybe even like a turtle or something like that. Yeah, and just kind of like hang out there. Nobody's going to get me.
Yeah, as Willow would say, it's not going to be anybody's lunch anytime soon.
Yeah, that's what my daughter Willow would say, exactly. And its name means fused lizard, which refers to the bony-like structures that were all over its back. It made it really difficult for predators to get to it. And just like the Stegosaurus, it had a tail, a club-like tail that used to ward off predators as well.
Yeah, that tail, watch out for it when it comes whipping around.
Yeah, definitely. And I was reading too that they were likely deaf and not very intelligent due to having a small brain. See, like I was saying, a lot of them had smaller brains. And it was a slow-moving dinosaur, just only at about 6 miles per hour, which is a little faster than a turtle's top speed. And it was an herbivore as well, and it used to strip leaves off plants. And it could live to be about 50 to 60 years old on average, because it had an ability to defend itself from other dinos, so it lived a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I don't think I'd ever want to touch one.
No, I don't know.
Ow!
Yeah, it's a little sharp even holding it. It's just a toy, but it's a little sharp.
Yeah, wow, I wouldn't want to mess with an Ankylosaurus.
Nope, me neither. All right, it's time to move on to the next one. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, yay, the big guy.
This is one of the bigger dinosaurs in the figurine set here, but this is called the Parasaurolophus, and it lived over 80 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. And what stands out about this dinosaur to you at home? How about to you, Gert?
Well, it's that bony thing on the back of its head, of course.
Yeah, it had the nickname near-crested lizard, which referred to its long and hollow crest on the back of its head. And scientists believe that this could have been used maybe for communication with each other, like it had maybe a loud horn in the key of B flat, if you any music lovers out there. It could have been used maybe to identify each other and help to regulate body temperature as well. They could be about 16 feet tall and between 6,000 to 8,000 pounds.
Wow, again, pretty big.
Yeah, they had those small hands in the front there and the big feet that they could walk on. And you can't really, maybe not see it very well here, but it has a duck beak type mouth. And they were herbivores as well. And they had a bunch of teeth, hundreds of teeth that were constantly being replaced inside their mouths.
Wow, that's a lot of teeth. Look, I only have these two. Ah!
Yeah, I guess. Are you an herbivore as well?
Yeah, well, I can eat a lot. My mom sometimes puts things in the blender for me.
Okay, I guess that helps, and you can just sip with the straw.
Yeah.
All right, well, the Parasaurolophus had that duck-like bill, and that was able to help it to kind of like munch on all the vegetables and things. And it could run about 30 miles per hour, And it lived to be between 50 to 70 years old. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I think this is one of the more interesting looking dinosaurs of the bunch, just with that long crest on the back of its head. I would have loved to hear what maybe it sounded like, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, especially in the key of B flat.
Yeah, pretty cool. Let's talk about who's next.
Oh, this is one of my favorite dinosaurs. I know what this is.
You do? What is it, Gert?
It's a Triceratops.
Yeah, that's right. Do you guys know about the Triceratops at home? It lived over 69 million years ago in the late Cretaceous period. And it was 26 to 30 feet in length, and it weighed between 6 and 10 metric tons, which really just means 12,000 to 20,000 pounds. That's quite a wide range. So some were smaller, some were bigger. And it was an herbivore as well. And guess how many teeth it had?
How many? 100?
More than that.
200?
More.
3?
More. 800 teeth, and it had up to 40 different columns of teeth. So it would have like different rows and columns of teeth to hold all 800 of them. And it also laid eggs to reproduce, kind of like a bird would do.
Wow, cool.
Its name means three-horned face because of the 1, 2, 3 horns on its face. And one of the most notable things about it is not only that, but the large crest around its head that protected its face and neck. And they also, I don't know if you can see that too, they had a hard parrot-like beak on their mouth. So they had all those teeth, and they had this beak too to help break down food. And it's one of the most found fossils by paleontologists, which is kind of great for us because if we want to discover more information about these huge and beautiful dinos, we'll be able to with all of those great fossils that we're finding.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wonder why they've been finding so many.
I don't know. But there must have just been a lot of them, I guess, or who knows? Do you know? I don't know. They could run pretty fast, up to about 20 miles per hour, which isn't super slow at all.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and they're big creatures, aren't they? Wow. Yeah, that's the Triceratops, everybody. Let's see who's next.
Yay!
All right, now have a look at this dino. This one's very interesting. Look at that big spiny thing on its back.
Yeah!
Well, this is the Spinosaurus, and it lived over 100 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period as well. It was about 50 feet in length, and it weighed between 14 to 16,000 pounds. And its name means spine lizard, which refers to that large sail that's on its back. And it was covered in spines, and it could reach up to 7 feet tall.
Wow! I really like that spiny thing on its back.
Yeah, the sail. It's pretty cool, isn't it? And it was a carnivore as well. And maybe, I'm not sure if you can see this either, but it had a mouth that was similar to a crocodile with 64 straight knife-like teeth that could strip slippery prey like fish.
Wow!
So what does that mean? If it was able to eat fish, what do you think something else about it that might have been true? What do you think if it could eat fish?
Probably could swim, do you think?
Yeah, I think it probably could swim. And that was the thought. And they were also scavengers too. They would eat dead dinosaurs. Ooh.
Yikes.
Yeah, they were pretty smart in that regard, that they were able to really survive and eat whatever they could. So one other thing you can see, it has kind of small arms in the front. It liked to walk on the 2 legs, and it was very fast, and it had a decent sized brain too, which made it pretty intelligent. Yeah, like as I was saying before, it was smart. It knew how to survive and all that, pretty smart.
Oh yeah, during that time you needed to survive for sure.
Absolutely, you had to do whatever you could do. It was survival of the fittest, as they would say.
Yeah.
All right, let's see who's next.
Wow, look at this one.
Yeah. This is Pachycephalosaurus, and its name means thick-headed lizard. So as you could probably see at home, it has this big dome-like structure on the top of its head that was 9 inches thick.
Wow, what did they use that for?
Well, I'm glad you asked. They actually would use that to probably like headbutt each other or other like enemies and predators, kind of like a bighorn sheep would do. Yeah, just like that. And they were 10 to 16 feet in length, and they weighed roughly 1 ton, which is 2,000 pounds.
Wow, Pretty cool.
And they believe that it was likely an omnivore, which, do you know what that means? We've talked about this in other videos before.
Doesn't that mean they eat both plants and animals?
That's absolutely right, Gert. Yep, they eat plants and animals, so like plants and fruits and different animals. And it traveled around on its 2 feet, and it could run faster than 30 miles an hour when it needed to escape predators.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, I don't think it normally moved that fast, but if it needed to scoot, it would scoot fast.
Yeah, these dinosaurs sure are fascinating, aren't they?
I really think they are. Yeah, they're really cool. You guys like them at home? Yeah, they're really awesome. All right, we're going to talk about the Velociraptor next. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so the Velociraptor lived over 70 million years ago, also during the late Cretaceous period. Now, this one here it's sort of misleading because Velociraptors actually were quite small. They were really only the size of a large turkey or so. Like they could be about 30 pounds, but they were only about the size of a turkey.
Oh wow, that's smaller than I thought.
Yeah, for us adults, if we've seen Jurassic Park, they really kind of portray the Velociraptor as being this big thing, almost like an Allosaurus or something like that. But they're actually very small, turkey-sized. And it's believed too that they had feathers all over their body.
Wow!
Yeah, its name means speedy thief, which is kind of funny because I guess they really weren't that fast.
No?
Well, no, I guess they could have been outrun by a small athletic child.
I could probably outrun it.
Maybe, Gert, I don't know. But they might have gained a little extra speed by flapping their wings, which again would have been covered in feathers, they believe. And that might have helped them when they were in mid-flight to go just a little faster. They were not very intelligent, and they were carnivores. Their greatest defense was these claws on the backs of their feet here. They would kind of jump up and slash, slash, slash. Ooh.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of these creatures didn't have very big brains, but still somehow they found ways to survive, as long as they could.
Yeah, so interesting.
All right, let's talk about the next dino. All right, can you at home guess what this is? What do you think, Gert?
Well, that looks like my favorite, the Triceratops.
Ooh, that's a good guess, but that's a common misconception or something that a lot of people think or like just upon first look, but it's actually called a Monoclonius. And the Monoclonius lived over 80 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period as well.
Oh wow, they do look similar. Although, I see that horn on their nose. It kind of looks like a rhinoceros.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. They kind of look like a rhinoceros with that horn on their nose, but you can't see this maybe very well, but they also have like kind of a pointy beak as well. They were herbivores too, which meant they ate plants, and they could lay eggs. And it had a moderately large skull, and it had a frilled skull and one single horn. So that's how it was characterized, if you will. They could be over 15 feet in length and weigh between 2,200 to 6,600 pounds, or 2,200, 6,600 pounds. So its name actually means single sprout, which was in reference to a single root of its teeth. A lot of people think that name meant the single horn on its nose, but it's actually not. It has to do with the teeth having just one single root. So pretty interesting. So yeah, some people do confuse this with the Triceratops, but it's actually the Monoclonius. So now do you know what makes them different? What do you think at home? Yeah, they don't have a frill much like the Triceratops, do they, Gert?
No, come to think of it, when you actually really look at it, that frill looks very different.
Yeah, they have all these bony structures, and there's like a little separation in the middle of their head there too. So quite different actually, and they don't have how many horns like a Triceratops?
They don't have 3.
That's right, they just have 1 right on the tip of their nose there. So that's the Monoclonius, everybody. Let's see who's next. I think we have one more, and I bet you can guess who that one last one might be. The king. Let's talk about it.
Whoa! This is what I've been waiting for!
Yeah, I think a lot of people wait to talk about this guy here. This is the Tyrannosaurus Rex, or commonly known as the
T-Rex!
That's right. They lived over 80 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period, and it stood between 12 and 20 feet tall, and it weighed between 10 to 18,000 pounds.
Wow!
Yeah, it was a true beast. Its name meant Tyrant Lizard King, and they could run not super fast, but 12 to 13 miles per hour, which, I mean, as I say, doesn't seem super fast, but they could still catch prey and definitely outrun a human if humans were around during that time, which they weren't. But it had a massive body, and it had a mouth full of 68-inch long razor sharp teeth, making it one of the fiercest carnivores of all time.
Wow! Yeah, it was pretty fierce.
Yeah, they were also really smart. They had a brain twice the size of other carnivorous dinosaurs of its size.
Wow!
Yeah, so big, strong, sharp teeth, pretty fast, and smart, watch out, right?
Yeah!
But they do have those little tiny arms in the front there. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, were those any use to them?
They actually, I guess, some scientists say that those tiny arms still were pretty useful for them, that maybe they could still grab their prey and slash them with their arms and their little claws that they had there.
Wow! A true beast.
Yeah, really. The T-Rex, probably one of the world's most favorite, a lot of people's favorite. Is it your favorite? Tell us at home, what was your favorite dinosaur that you learned about today?
You know mine. Mine was the Triceratops.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine's a toss-up, I guess, between T-Rex and probably, I don't know, I like them all. The Allosaurus was very interesting to me, and Pachycephalosaurus, and the Ankylosaurus. I just can't decide.
Yeah, I know. I have some new favorites now, too.
Yeah. So thank you so much at home for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified of every time we post a new video. And we'll see you again soon, okay? Bye-bye.